beautiful people. This is Anya. In this meditation, you can either choose to look at this video while listening, since I am surrounded by beautiful nature, or you can choose to close your eyes now. Adjust yourself to a comfortable position. Try to keep your back straight, but most importantly, just be comfortable. Gently place the tip of your tongue onto the roof of your mouth. Now, let's bring our attention to our breath. Breathe in deeply through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Once again, breathe in deeply and breathe out. And continue to breathe in and out in a smooth, even pace. Now imagine the sun above you, and it starts to pour a warm golden liquid light onto the crown of your head. It gently flows down onto your head, covers your face warmly, flows down to your neck, down to your shoulders. As you listen to the sounds of the alchemy crystal bowls, feel yourself relaxing more and more, as if the golden liquid light completely melts all the tension and the stress that your body is holding. This liquid golden light slowly covers your arms, your upper body, and continues to flow down through your out to your body, onto your hips, your thighs, your knees, and all the way down to your feet. It continues to penetrate through your skin and flows through every vein and every cell. Feel the golden liquid light flowing and breaking through all the physical and emotional blockages within you. Every organ, every vein, Every cell feels energized and rejuvenated from this golden light. You are now completely covered and soaked in this beautiful, warm, golden liquid light, along with the soothing sound bath from the alchemy crystal bowls. Allow yourself to completely let go and enjoy the warm, safe embrace of this beautiful light. Let's bring our focus back to our breath. As you breathe in, feel the lightness and the freshness of each breath. And with each breath out, you can feel the peace and serenity from within. Remember to gently smile and feel your heart expand with every breath. Now feel the golden liquid light slowly start to drip down from your body to the ground below you. Hold the intention to place any last bits of negativity and unwanted emotions and thoughts into this light. As it flows down into the earth below, consumed by the love, the abundance, and compassion of Mother Earth. As the last bit of golden liquid light leaves you, hold gratitude in your heart for Father Sky, for Mother Earth, and all that is good in your life. Take another deep breath in and breathe out. Breathe in love and light, and breathe out love and light. From my heart to yours. Till next time.
Hi there, welcome to another presentation of the Globe Sound Healing Conference. Now we've got Karen Holly. Hi, Karen.
Hi, David. So good to be here. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Karen is a passionate advocate for changing the healthcare paradigm and is a devoted wellness innovator. Now 5 years free of ovarian cancer and thriving, she has dedicated the second half of her life to educating and speaking on the body's miraculous ability to heal itself. She's a health facilitator, avid researcher, energy worker, and speaker. Prior to cancer, Karen was working in the body wellness space for over 20 years, from conducting women's health panels in the San Francisco Bay Area to founding both KH Essentials and the Holly Method. Karen's passion for the power of body consciousness runs deep. She helps men and women create radiant health, energetic resonance, and deep connection to their bodies through a unique method that combines the ancient healing modalities of sound, breath work, Reiki, reflexology, and aromatherapy massage. She teaches people how to restore and awaken the soul-mind-body connection through traditional rituals that nourish. With the laws of physics and sympathetic resonance, Karen helps people learn how to regulate their own energetic state. She helps her clients find the healer within. What have
Wow.
you? Wow, wow. Yeah. What have you been up to lately?
Oh, I am really humbled because I was actually asked to speak at the Future of Health conference with Mindshare, the Quantum Health Conference down in Arizona last month. And I was blown away with how much respect sound and frequency and vibration is now getting in the medical field. So
Cool.
just doing that and then hiking over in your neighborhood every morning. I love the headlands. They keep my soul healthy and happy.
Excellent. Okay, so we got the big question. If you had all the money in the world, what would you do to help people on the planet?
Oh my gosh. Based on what I have learned through the globe this past year and experiencing sound healing myself, I would probably create retreat centers all over the US and maybe do some global, or not global, some mobile sound healing vans that could go around and relieve stress with our teenagers, with our veterans, with anyone in, with mental health units. I would just spread this message that people have the power to really use sound and frequency in more ways than they actually are aware of. It's so profound. So I just want to keep healing, keep spreading the love, and God, I would love to have wellness centers everywhere.
Excellent. Excellent. Million sound lounge vans.
Yes. Yeah, let's help 100,000 veterans by 2024.
I love it. Excellent. Excellent. Cool. Okay, tell us about your presentation.
Okay, so today I'm gonna take you on a journey in understanding the laws of resonance so that you can really understand how the art of humming and creating resonance within our own internal body can help us to actually heal and come to a harmonic state. So I'm going to review I'm going to combine videos and experiment data, and then 3 NIH studies. So I'm going to give some scientific research on literally how the art of humming can help bring us to a healthier state.
Which is also not just humming, it's any vowel.
Exactly.
Yeah, right, right.
Don't give away the secret, David.
Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, we've been talking about that through the whole conference. Cool. Okay, excellent. Well, I can't wait. Let's begin.
Okay, all right. So we're going to start, everyone, with just a little bit of frequency. All right. So, everyone, did you feel that? Do you even know what that was? So, friends, that was the frequency of 292 hertz from this beautiful sacral bowl, note D, and the resonance of our humming. And I was humming at approximately between 160 and 170 hertz, so quite different than the bowl's frequency. But what's important is when we consciously hum, we're creating a strong internal massage, vibrations that can actually shift molecular structures and alter matter at a cellular level. Conscious humming is one of the most important natural healing abilities that you, me, and all of us have. And yet most of us are completely unaware of the benefits of using our voice in this manner. So as I just mentioned to David, what I'm going to talk about today is that science now supports the efficacy of self-created sounds having positive, meaningful effects on our physiology, from stimulating the vagus nerve to calming our limbic system, to increasing nitric oxide production, and so much more. Self-created sounds, frequency, and vibration concepts are finally making it into mainstream medical Western forums, as I just mentioned. So David already introduced me. My name's Karen, and a year and a half ago, I experienced a serious back injury that I was unable to even walk or sit for 5 months. I couldn't even leave my own home. And of course, the doctors wanted me to have back surgery, but that was not my path. So I spent the last year and a half using non-invasive modalities to help heal myself. And the Globe Institute was a big part of that. And I can consciously say that the use of self-created sounds and frequency continues to be by far the most profound, effective tool I personally have ever experienced. And like many of you, I'm sure many of you have used a ton of alternative approaches. I've been doing it since the late 80s when I was in college, but from acupuncture to energy to network care to Ayurveda and more. I lived in Asia and Europe for a quarter of my life and have traveled extensively, and I've experienced a ton of these alternative practices on and off for the past 30 years. But I have to say, even given all of that experience, for some reason, these practices do not match the power of sound, resonance, and frequency in the body. And I'm not against Western medicine. I think that, there's a time and a place that it's called for, but I do believe deeply in lifestyle medicine approaches where we at least give it a try before moving into the world of pharmaceuticals and surgery. So even very recently, when I accidentally tweaked my back last month while going to that Future of Health conference, I was able to realign the internal harmonics of my lower spine, the lower 3 vertebrae, with physical resonance and frequency practices in just 2.5 days. Even I was surprised. I couldn't believe how fast I went from a level 8 out of 10 back down to a level 2, maybe 3. I had limited mobility, and 2.5 days later, my mobility was back. And 2 years ago, you all, that would have taken me a month or more, and I would have had to pay a different practitioner to help me through that pain. So what I absolutely love about conscious humming is it's free. It's free to you, it's free to me, it's free to all of us, and it's on demand 24/7. The benefits are real. If you can't tell, I'm pretty passionate about lifestyle medicine and enabling people to reclaim their health. So I like having viable natural options before turning to drugs and invasive procedures. And anyway, I'm not going to go into this, but as David mentioned, I am a wellness innovator, and I research and help educate people that are interested in hearing on moving away from the sick care model and helping to empower them into practicing the preventative approach of TESC, truly empowered self-care. So today I'll be sharing with you several peer-reviewed studies from the NIH, the National Institute of Health. I'm going to review an experiment, and then I am going to share some videos that help teach you the laws of resonance. And I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Ermina Van Dyken, a doctor who's going to speak with you on your nose, humming, and the benefits of nitric oxide. My intent is to expand your awareness on the benefits of sound so you can have an understanding of how this really can impact our human physiology. All right, so what I love about modern day is that we get to prove through science and technology what our ancestors knew intuitively. They understood the power of sound. It is simply vibration. Every single part of our human body vibrates at its own unique frequency. So let me start sharing some slides and we'll start this presentation. Okay. Share. All right. Go. We'll get in presentation mode. Stand by. Here we go. All right, David, does that look like we're in presentation mode? Here we go. Okay. So the Egyptians, Hopi, Mayan, Polynesian, Tibetan monks, you name it, we know that most of our ancestors all had rituals and practices that paid serious homage to the power of sound. You can see the Tibetan bowls here and the ancient yidaki. For thousands of years, they used a range of musical frequencies to ease their pain, repair tissue, repair bones, reduce illness. And you can see the instruments that have been used throughout the ages. And now, lucky us, technology has helped us to progress and expand into modern day devices such as AMI, FSM, ultrasound, bioenergetics, and more. And there are so many life-saving devices out there based on sound, frequency, and vibration. It's pretty impressive. I can attest to some of the things I saw last month. So we know that Edgar Cayce, Einstein, and Nikola Tesla all predicted that the future of medicine would be sound and frequency, and they were right. I mean, look how far we have come. Most of us can quickly relate to ultrasounds, right? We all think of the beautiful fetal images in utero. But have you heard of these other sound frequency devices? Nephrolithotripsy. This is an amazing process that can destroy kidney stones with sound waves in just an hour. And frequency is now used to turn stem cells into bone cells with the intent of regrowing bone that has been lost due to cancer or other destructive diseases. And vibration therapy can now treat sarcopenia, which is muscle atrophy, can strengthen bones, and even expedite wound healing by accelerated formulation of granulation tissues. And later, I'm going to share a few videos that show how frequency can be harnessed to successfully destroy cancer cells. You know, at the Quantum Mindshare conference last month, I was speaking on the same stage as the infamous Dr. Joe Dispenza. How many of you know his work or have been to any of his retreats? I have witnessed miracles firsthand at those retreats. Okay. Anyway, what he and other revolutionary health leaders continue to reiterate is that we have the propensity to heal on our own. In many cases, we don't need substance or medication We don't even need another person. All we really need is deep body awareness, connection, and the understanding of how to use the physical laws of resonance. And this is key. And it's why I want to talk about resonance today before we get into humming. Modern studies on sound therapy have been available for hundreds of years, yet it's just now starting to take traction in the US. In the past 5 years, we've seen these topics. They're finally making mainstream. So we've got TED Talks, we've got articles in the New York Times, we've got Gaia and Netflix. And with the New York Times, who saw the white noise and brown noise articles? That had to have been within the last quarter, if not 6 months. So it's really, becoming mainstream, which is fantastic. We're slowly but surely imparting knowledge about the healing and transformative properties of sound as medicine, which is like really exciting. So when a sound is made and the vibrational wave created, it is the resonance that impacts our body at a cellular level, actually a subatomic particle level. And that, my friends, is what triggers health transformations. Whether the frequency is audible to the human ear or not, it doesn't matter. We now know scientifically that bone cells, for example, can be regenerated at 45 hertz in a petri dish. We know that spinal cord inflammation resonates at a combination of 40 hertz and 10 hertz. We know which frequencies can dissolve scar tissue or even balance every chakra. Science and technology combined have been able to map out the entire human body, giving us the keys to the kingdom if we so choose to apply this knowledge. We are so much farther advanced in sound and frequency medicine than most people realize. The ability to alter both our physical and mental states is now scientifically proven with EKGs, fMRIs, blood work, and more. Both physics and science support the efficacy of sound healing through the concept of entrainment, the process by which the vibrations of one object can affect the vibrations of another. So with sympathetic resonance, we can use one sound to synchronize and harmonize our body to restore our natural base frequency resonance. So to better demonstrate this, I want to share a couple of short videos on the laws of resonance, because understanding this concept is vital if you want to heal parts of your body with resonance. You must know the base or natural frequency. So let's take a look. Let me share this video. I'm going to forward it a teeny bit further just to save some time. And you can see, I'm just going to fast forward a little bit to save time here, but you'll see it's more and more getting intense. I'll fast forward a teeny bit more just because I know and sake of time. And look over on the right. Okay, so you can see, I mean, pretty fascinating. I don't know how many of you have seen a demonstration like that before, and I fast forwarded through because I didn't want you to have to sit through the whole synchronization, but naturally, the third on the right side was the last to kind of come into a state of resonance. But what this video shows is how a state of dissonance or disharmonious objects can be synchronized and reharmonized naturally, totally naturally through the sympathetic laws of resonance. Because all of these metronomes have the same natural resonant frequency, they can resonate in a state of harmony. So just imagine for a minute your own body and how the laws of resonance could actually turn a chaotic state of illness into a harmonious state at a cellular level. Now, with destructive resonance, on the other hand, science can use sound frequencies to disintegrate malignancy. Both Royal Rife, a scientist in the 1930s, and Anthony Holland from Skidmore in 2013, Skidmore College, studied amplitude applied to resonant frequencies. So amplitude simply meaning volume. So increasing the amplitude on a targeted resonant frequency can destroy cancer cells and their pathogenic precursors. So like sympathetic resonance, we must understand the laws of destructive resonance as more devices come into the market, because you may want to understand what and how things may or may not work, especially if you're going to use them on your body. So here's another video that goes deeper into both sympathetic and destructive resonance and shows you the amazing work of Anthony Holland. So here we go for the next video. I hope that you enjoy this one.
So now we're searching for the magic frequency. And we start with 100 hertz, and we look through the microscope to see if anything's happening. We watch for 5 minutes. Nothing happens. We try hundreds and hundreds of frequencies, if not thousands, until we find the magic combination. Because we believed there just had to be a better way. There had to be a better way. And we think we may have found it. I have here 2 identical tuning forks, both tuned to the note A, the note an orchestra tunes to. These forks are both made to vibrate 440 times per second. We say their frequency is 440 hertz. If I tap this fork, putting little pulses of energy into it, the second fork will also vibrate in sympathy. And if I silence this fork, we just may hear the other singing its tone. We say that I'm inducing a sympathetic resonant vibration in the second fork. It only works because both forks are tuned to the exact same frequency. Now, many of us have seen this very charming young man on the internet who shatters crystal glasses with his powerful voice. But if you watch him carefully, you'll see that first he taps the glass with his finger and listens. The glass sings its natural resonant pitch. Then he takes a deep breath and sings a loud, long note. He induces a resonant vibration in the crystal glass. The vibration grows larger and larger and larger until the glass is shattered. On the other end of the scale, we have a giant bridge made out of concrete and steel, a suspension bridge, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. Cars and trucks and buses are going over it every day. And unfortunately, where they built this bridge, there was a steady wind blowing across it. And one day this wind induces a small vibration in the bridge, hardly noticeable. but the frequency of the vibration matches the resonant frequency of some part of the bridge. And the vibration gets larger and larger and larger until the bridge collapses into the river below. A destructive resonant frequency. So on one end of the scale, we have a giant concrete and steel bridge destroyed by resonance. And on the other, we have a small crystal glass shattered. So maybe we could shatter something even smaller, something really small, something you would need a microscope to see. Maybe we could shatter a living microorganism. So maybe we could change a biological living liquid crystal with a special electronic signal. But in order to do that, we would need some kind of device. So we search the US patent database, and we find this invention by a physician, Dr. James Bear of Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's called a resonant frequency therapy device, and its purpose is to induce a resonant vibration in a living organism or cell. If I put in, say, 100 hertz, out will come 100 pulses per second. If I put in 200 hertz, we'll get 200 pulses. So now we're searching for the magic frequency. And we start with 100 hertz, and we look through the microscope to see if anything's happening. We watch for 5 minutes. Nothing happens. So we try 101 hertz. We look through the scope for 5 minutes, and nothing happens. So we try 102, 103, and so on. Over the course of 15 months, we try hundreds and hundreds of frequencies, if not thousands, until we find the magic combination. The answer is you have to have 2 input frequencies, one low, one high, and the higher frequency must be 11 times the lower. It's what we musicians would call the 11th harmonic. And when we add the 11th harmonic, we begin to shatter microorganisms like a crystal glass. These are the first videos taken. We showed these videos to our friends in the biology department. They said they hadn't seen anything quite like it. Seems to be a new phenomenon. These organisms are being shattered by our electronic signals. We now know that cancer is vulnerable between the frequencies of 100,000 hertz and 300,000 hertz. So now we attack leukemia cells. Leukemia cell number 1 tries to grow a copy of itself, but the new cell is shattered into dozens of fragments and scattered across the slide. Leukemia cell number 2 then hyperinflates and also dies. Leukemia cell number 3 then tries to make another cancer cell. The new cell is shattered and the original cell dies. Since I was a 17-year-old high school student with twin interests in both music and science, I never imagined the two would come together in a cancer research lab. I now believe that the future cancer treatment rooms for children will be a very different place. It will be a pleasant place where children gather and make new friends. They probably won't even know they're sick. They'll draw pictures, color in their books, play with their toys, all the while unaware that above them are beautiful blue pinkish plasma lights emanating healing, pulsing electric fields, shattering their cancer painlessly and non-toxically, one cell at a time.
Oh my gosh, that video gets me every single time. Wow. Whew, as an ovarian cancer survivor, this work means the world to me. I was so happy the first time I learned about his work, non-invasive ways to help cancer patients. This is a dream come true. And I wish my doctors or even I had known about this when I was diagnosed. Again, it's why getting this information out there is so important. It changes lives.
Can I share a couple of things?
Oh, sure.
It's interesting because this is not sound he's using. It's a completely electromagnetic. And so the 100 to 300,000 is actually not a sound frequency, but there are devices that are being introduced into hospitals right now using ultrasound instead of electromagnetics, which is actually safer than what he's doing and even more effective. And it's really cool. It's called focused MRI. Also, the other thing that we're looking at is Anthony Holland's only getting rid of the cancer like 30 to 40% of the time on average. And because he's only using 2 frequencies. When you find the entire harmonic content, all the frequencies of a cancer cell, talking with my colleagues, we've realized that we could explode those cells 100% of the time.
Yeah,
I mean,
David, it's so exciting, just the whole field. So thank you for putting that detail in there. I really
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah,
'Cause
we're right on the threshold. I mean, we're going to not have chemo and radiation anymore in hospitals within 10 years.
I know that's why I cry every time I see that, because Royal Rife and he started this whole, it's so fascinating to see how far sound frequency and vibration has come. So
Excellent.
thank you for interjecting there. I really appreciate that. So let's see. So the reason I was showing these videos is just to remember that we have, and David even just mentioned it, we have to know the natural resonant frequencies. Otherwise, the physical laws of resonance don't even work. So no health transformation can take place unless you know the resonant frequencies. And that's exactly what David was saying, above and beyond now the focused MRI as opposed to the magnetic current. So anyway, we know inventions and new devices are evolving at like Star Trek-like speeds. I can attest to seeing some miraculous beam me up Scotty-like devices at the Quantum Health Mindshare last month. There were little devices no bigger than a phone that could scan your entire biofield and prescribe, just like David, like the voice analysis tools we use at school, right? That it can tell people what frequencies and things they're missing in their own body. So anyway, what's beautiful though, at the same time as all these modern inventions, and this gets us into the humming aspect of this presentation, is even at that conference, at the same time they were talking about all these high-tech devices, what I loved is that science was giving specific recognition to the power of the oldest, purest sound, which is our voice. So our human voice is being given equal weight on the same stage as some of these wellness modern devices. So I do want to share another video, and this is really about the power of sound, and it's through cymatics, which is an emerging science that shows us the visible effects of sound waves on and vibration on matter. And this science has expanded what is truly possible with sound therapy, and it's creating new therapeutic potential for healing transformation. And the other thing is, don't miss John Stuart Reid, who is one of the respected authorities in this space, is speaking on Saturday. So I can't wait to hear what he says, but don't miss John's talk. So during this video, I invite you to think about your body, to think about your cells and the structured water within, and just think about how malleable it all is to sound. Okay, so let me share the video. Just think about your body when you're watching this video.
The film you're about to see has no characters. If you spare a little of your imagination, it is a film to describe to you the effect of cymatic frequencies on matter. Everything owes its existence solely and completely to sound.
Okay, I'm going to stop that a tiny bit early out of respect for time, but did that video in any way alter how you think about sound in your body? Because I know the first time I saw that, seeing the vibrations in the water really made me understand what sound is doing internally. And even when we hum, you can start to feel and understand how humming vibrations can make a big difference in your health. So anyway, I hope that might have changed your perspective of sound on the human body. Okay, so are you ready now for a simple formula that could change your life, change your health, and maybe change your perspective on humming? Here we go. I'm going to share this formula with you. Get to the next page. Okay, here we go. Frequency plus intent equals healing. Frequency plus intent plus technique equals targeted healing. And this, my friends, is conscious humming. So I invite you to consider this formula as you contemplate the power of your own voice, sound, and frequency. And I invite you to consider this formula as you listen to the following studies and one experiment, because it was the concentrated conscious humming that these experiments and studies were focused on, and it's why they had the profound healings that they did. So humming for musical purposes is different than conscious humming. It requires focus, techniques, frequency, intent, and it's not just humming in the car. In fact, that's actually advised against when you're truly consciously humming for the purposes of focused healing. So that's why techniques and technical aspects have come into play. And Jonathan Goldman, who is a pioneer in the field of harmonics, music, research, he is the one who coined that formula, frequency plus intent equals healing. So I always think it's important to acknowledge the people who bring up these beautiful things. So over the years, a variety of techniques have been documented, both new and ancient wisdoms, to increase our ability of trying to find ways to create stronger internal vibratory rates that are helpful in focused healing. So modern devices now and science can actually help us hone in to what's working and what's not. And that's why some of these studies were so fascinating to me. So before we get to the NIH studies, I'm ready to share the experiment with you. Okay, so I have been sharing my research with everyone this past year, friends, family, you name it, all my stuff that I learned from the amazing Globe teachers and my own research I'm sharing with everyone. And I have to say that 90% of them are using what I've shared with them either for themselves, their children, or even their clients. And so I'm super happy that people are being reminded of the power of their own voice. That brings me joy. So, all right, meet subject number 1, my mother, Chris. Near and dear to my heart. She is 81 years old and does not want to be told to go on any medications. So she is taking health into her own hands and decided to do her own conscious humming experiment. And last month, when I was going to speak at the Future of Health segment down in Arizona, at that time, she had only done 5 days of her experiment, but even then her results were already really impressive because she had consistently dropped her systolic blood pressure at that time by 15 points. And systolic BP is the top number in your blood pressure. Now, fast forward, she now has 45 days worth of data, and check it out. With daily humming, only between 3 and 5 minutes, she has on average dropped her systolic blood pressure by 19 points daily. The highest daily drop after one humming session was actually 43 points of the systolic blood pressure. And even if she if she ever hummed 2 times in one day, and she did that, if she got up in the morning and had a systolic blood pressure reading that was high, she would hum for a second time. And so every time she hummed for a second time, which was less than 50% of the time, but every time, 100%, the second hum would drop her systolic blood pressure at minimum 10 points and usually more. So this is pretty impressive. And it's actually important because conventional Western medicine considers 20 points can make or break levels for hypertension patients. And hypertension stage 1 is when your systolic blood pressure is over 140. Pre-hypertension risk levels are anything above 120 systolic. So being able to shift levels, even just say 10 points, can prevent someone potentially being put on medications. And we all know that many medications have a long list of negative side effects. And guess what? Today in the US, 108 million have high blood pressure. And the economic burden to just our country alone is estimated to be between 131 and 198 billion annually. And that's according to the CDC. I was shocked. So this is amazing. And again, it's humming, right? And it's free. What also is really interesting to note is check out her side effects. They're only positive. Who wouldn't want better sleep, more energy? And in her case, she had less postnasal drainage. It's a condition she's been suffering for much of her life, but it's completely reduced. So all I can say is kudos, Mom. Thank you for being so inspiring and courageous and sharing your data and sharing it with both your cardiologist and your primary care doctor, because setting the standards in the sick care system is important. And it's important to let these doctors know that these self-created sounds can actually help reduce stress, anxiety, blood pressure. Okay, so that was the experiment. Now let's turn to science. And let's look at 3 peer-reviewed scientific studies from the NIH library. Okay, this first study, I believe, is the one that inspired my mom to do her experiment, as it's all about blood pressure. How many yoga practitioners do we have out there? How many of you have heard about Brahmari Pranayama or humming bee breath? This breathing technique essentially has you hum to create vibrations in your body as you exhale. And the sound you create is meant to sound like a humming bee. So let's try it. So take a deep breath in, and when you exhale, create that humming bee sound. Do you notice anything? Okay. Well, the Department of Physiology at the Nepal Medical College is the one that conducted this study. And you can see on the lower left the title of the study. Dr. Promanik, who was the lead research, engaged subjects in this ancient practice, and participants had to hum for 5 minutes. Upon the exhale, they were instructed to focus keenly on the subtle vibrations that they could feel in their laryngeal walls here, as well as the walls of their nostrils. They also were instructed, this is important, they also were instructed to breathe at a 5-15 ratio, meaning that the exhale was 3 times slower than the inhale, which is actually what humming helps people do. But most of us just don't even think about humming in that way, right? So this study showed that both systolic and diastolic blood pressure were lowered immediately after just 5 minutes of humming. The study also showed that humming was able to induce parasympathetic dominance over the cardiovascular system and the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve is directly related to human sound, both our creation of sound and the perception of sound. So can you imagine triggering the entire vagus nerve with your internal humming vibrations? Maybe try it out as you look at this diagram. So hum for a second. Feel the internal massage and really focus on that vibration, the vibratory sensation. Now imagine your vagus nerve vibrating. And remember, this is the longest cranial nerve 10, in our body, and it's the longest nerve of the autonomic nervous system. It contains both sensory and motor fibers. And as you can see, it originates in the brain, and look at the diagram, originates where the brain goes all the way down through the throat, down into the other digestive tract organs. It manages the liver, the spleen, the pancreas, the heart, the lungs, the intestines. So you may have heard of the term rest and digest. Well, that's all the vagus nerve and the overall parasympathetic nervous system. So you can actually induce parasympathetic relaxation states with these vibrations. It's scientifically proven now. So it makes complete sense that the results of this study were conclusive in showing reduced blood pressure results, lower heart rates, and a reduction of stress and anxiety. So if that is not enough to inspire you to start a conscious humming practice, take a look at the second NIH study. So this one may surprise you, and it may make you think of your nose in a whole new way. So from 2002 to 2006, 2 well-known and respected doctors and professors, Dr. Eddie Weitzberg and John Lundberg over here, the authors of this particular study, they did studies for 4 years on the increased levels of nitric oxide correlated to humming. And this is just one of those studies. And what they discovered during this 4-year period is that it is our paranasal sinuses in the upper respiratory tract that produce the majority of our nitric oxide, while only a minor amount is produced in the lower tract and lungs. So their research proved that the vibrations created in the paranasal passages during humming produce 6 to 15 times, and you can look in the graph over here in the upper right, 16 times higher levels of nitric oxide when compared to regular nasal breathing. Now, if someone is a mouth breather, then the difference was even higher, because we already all know the benefits of nasal breathing. So anyway, if you did not know this, nitric oxide has fascinated biologists for almost 40 years. Not only is this molecule a profound vasodilator that earned its place in Nobel Prize history, but it regulates a lot of our body's physiological processes. So check it out on this slide. These are some of the most commonly reported positive effects of nitric oxide. Oh, and by the way, we know the frequency of nitric oxide. It's supposedly, I've been told, it has a natural resonance of 20.79. So that's very, very low. Ooh, I probably can't even make my voice go that low. But anyway, again, important to know the natural resonance of everything, right?
You know, John Stuart Reid actually did very detailed research on this, and he says in detail that you don't have to hum or tone, anything, because you can actually play like a sound table or anything that vibrates that cavity is going to still create the nitric oxide, which is a little easier.
Okay, so the other thing that is related to, so we know that humming and toning, self-created sounds, right, that are creating that vibratory effect. And as David said, you can get it externally as well, but it's that vibration. And that's why we showed the cymatics video, was to show the impact of vibration on the body. So we know that that can increase nitric oxide. There's one other set of studies that I thought, as we're headed into flu season, people might find fascinating, which is back in 2020 and 2021, when there was massive COVID research being done and trials everywhere. There were 40 studies done specifically on nitric oxide and COVID. The first one was a study that showed a 99% effective kill rate of the SARS virus. Now, even though that was in a test tube, it totally impressed the scientific community so much that following that, there were 36 other human trials on the effects of nitric oxide on the COVID virus. And these were all level 3 FDA trials researching both the treatments and prevention of COVID-19 with nitric oxide. So, in fact, one of the studies was conducted on healthcare workers in Boston. Now, I know it's believed by the scientific community that there's ample evidence now maintaining higher nitric oxide levels in our noses can help ward off illnesses in our respiratory tracts. So just because of the antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial traits. So I think it's really interesting to have this information going into flu season. And like David said, I was going to say, if anyone wants to contact me later, it's really, there are laws of diminishing return and of humming and toning, and there's scientific evidence now on how long you should hum for maximum benefits, how often you should take vibratory breaks and things like that. So those things are important to know, that there are scientific approaches to the art of humming for healing. Okay, so the final NIH study is related to the limbic system. And this was an award-winning biotechnologist study. And you can see the title here, The Neurodynamic Correlates of Om Chanting. This study was conducted at the National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience in India. And the study used fMRI images to observe the brain and the neurohemodynamic responses with different self-created sounds. So that's just what David was talking about, is we'll talk about consonants versus vowels. So for reference, hemodynamic responses are what enable rapid delivery of blood to our neuronal tissues, and it's a critical function of our brain. And so as you can see in this slide on the lower right, the brain structures included in the limbic system are the ones that are most closely linked to our emotions, the amygdala, hippocampus, hypothalamus, thalamus. And so the gist of this study showed the difference in our limbic system when participants chanted Om, it has that sound, versus consonant sound of S. So Om is oftentimes considered a vowel, and as David said, or a humming sound, and similar to other vowels like ooh, ah, like you get much more vibration than consonants. So Dr. Van Dyken, in the end of that video that we didn't see, also talks about Om and yoga, deactivation of the limbic system, but this study focuses specifically on that. So on the next page, you can see these are fMRI images from the study, and what the study concluded is that when the S was chanted, and maybe we stop for a second and just do it yourself, go Om, or as David said, you could go ooh. Now humming, usually you want to try and keep your mouth a little bit more shut, but now do an S sound. And I don't know about you, but I don't feel the depth of vibration when I do the S sound. And so that was the point of this study, is that they actually took the fMRI images, which showed scientifically that the S sounds had no impact at all on the limbic system, whereas when the participants of the study chanted the sound and created that internal vibration, it actually deactivated the limbic system. And the other thing that this study did show, which I think I put on that other slide, is increased endorphins. It also induced parasympathetic dominance over the cardiovascular system and activated the vagus nerve, and noted calming effects as well. And the other thing is, this last point that I loved about this study is that the doctors were so bold as to petition to have the Om chanting be included in part of the patient protocols for reducing nervous system disorders. So I thought that was pretty cool. In final summary, so you can see from this slide, this is just a list of all of the different types of benefits that I came across in my research. Pick 1, 2, or more. I know personally, I love having increased oxytocin in my life. I know for my perimenopausal friends, I believe the benefits of stimulating our endocrine system and thyroid could help alleviate several common symptoms. But there are just so many benefits out there. And I know, David, I've shared a lot about physiological benefits today, but even if we simply were to focus on the reduction of stress and anxiety in this country, I believe we could have, with conscious humming, I believe we could have a kinder, better, more connected place. We know that stress is a global epidemic and costing us trillions, not even millions. We know that 1 in 3 adults in the US has high blood pressure. We know stress is the #1 reported disability of our teens, and even more disturbing to me is that millions are prescribed drugs on the daily, including our teenagers. And I know stress is inevitable, right? But if we can use ways to relieve it that are natural, non-pharmaceutical, from adopting regular exercise or lifestyle changes in food, or the habits that we discussed today, like humming or toning, that are completely free and available to us all, we can help this epidemic. So I think the time is now. If we can start humming, even if it's for 5 minutes a day, I think that's
Any vowel, or
yeah.
put a Tibetan bowl on you,
Yeah,
even, or play a drum. It's like any vibration is really, it's really the deal, and it's even easier,
Yeah,
right? But
but
just like ooh or ah or e.
yeah, and whether we hum in the shower or do it during meditation or toning, or do it with goodnight snuggles with our kiddos or pet, the positive neurophysiological changes that can take place are so proven by science now. So I invite everyone to hum, to tone, and imagine a world where prescriptions for humming were given instead of Xanax. And toning, when I say humming, here David put the word toning in there as well, but just imagine a place where prescriptions for toning or humming or making sound or listening to sound were given instead of Xanax, or where our teenagers knew if they simply made a sound or hummed or listened to music, they could erase their stress before a test. So let's stop supporting the sick care system and harness the power of sound and frequency and vibration and live a healthier, more holistic life. And I'll stop because I know you want to stop at time. But I definitely invite people, if they've got any questions about specifics on humming techniques, I'll be offering that masterclass. And David, I want to thank you so much for your time and express my deep gratitude to you and the numerous teachers and doctors and sound healers and educators, musicians, vocalists, and the Globe and the teachers and the foundation for everything you do in helping to teach the magic of sound to the masses.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What an incredible presentation. It's really helping bring it into the mainstream. It's like take our power back and heal ourselves and heal each other. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much.
Okay. Take care.
Okay. Bye.